I chased him for 4 years, then walked away. Years later, he begged me to come back. For 4 years, I chased after the man I loved. My name is Ethan. I was born into a wealthy family in Beijing, while Adrian was one of the poorest students at our university. He was also the person I loved more recklessly than anyone else. Back then, I used my money and the influence of my family to force my way into his life. Eventually, Adrian became my boyfriend. At least that was what I believed. Even after years together, he never once told me that he loved me. Then, shortly before graduation, I heard him say that no one would ever like a man, and that it was disgusting. Those words destroyed the last bit of hope I had. I decided to leave the country. I did not tell him that I was going away. I thought our story had finally ended. Years later, I returned to China. At a business dinner, I saw Adrian again. He was no longer the poor and quiet university student I remembered. He had become a successful businessman and one of the most promising people in the industry. He was also the largest investor in a new project from my company. The project manager did not know anything about our past. During dinner, he mentioned that Adrian and I had attended the same university. He asked whether we had known each other. I calmly said that we had not. Across the table, Adrian slowly raised his head. I did not look at him. I had already assumed that the partnership would fail. After all, Adrian had hated me so much back then. But when the project manager asked for his decision, Adrian looked directly at me. He said that he agreed to the partnership. I almost thought I had heard him incorrectly. Everyone began celebrating. Glasses were filled and I raised mine. Just as I was about to drink, Adrian suddenly grabbed my wrist. It was an instinctive movement. Years ago, because I could not handle alcohol well, he had always taken my drinks for me. For a moment, neither of us moved. Then Adrian seemed to remember that he no longer had the right to interfere. He released my wrist. I drank the alcohol myself. Later, I stood outside waiting for my car. Adrian was there too. He started walking toward me. Before he could say much, a car stopped beside us. Ryan lowered the window and affectionately told me to get into the car. Adrian immediately froze. Then he grabbed my wrist again. His eyes became red. He quietly asked if I did not need him anymore. Those words pulled me back into the past. The first time I saw Adrian, we had just entered university. He wore a simple white shirt. He was tall, clean, quiet, and distant from everyone around him. I fell for him immediately. From that day onward, I started finding excuses to be near him. I learned his daily schedule. He spent most of his free time in the library, so I started going there too. I had always been a terrible student, but suddenly I carried books around every day just so I could sit close to him. I pretended not to understand my lessons. Then I passed him little notes with questions. Adrian always answered them. No matter how stupid my questions were, he carefully wrote down the solutions for me. That was how we slowly became familiar with each other. The more time I spent around him, the more I realized how difficult his life was. Sometimes he ate only once a day. His books were old. His notebooks were worn out. He did not own a computer. He never bought snacks. I could not stand seeing someone I liked living like that. Whenever I saw him in the cafeteria, I ordered too much food and pushed the extra portion toward him. When he was not around, I secretly put snacks inside his bag. After about a week, Adrian finally realized what I was doing. He asked me why I kept giving him things. I told him that the reason should have been obvious. I was pursuing him. After that, Adrian disappeared from the library for an entire week. I waited for him every day. He never came. Eventually, I became miserable and went drinking at a bar. To my surprise, Adrian was working there as a waiter. Maybe the alcohol gave me courage. I walked over and asked why he had stopped going to the library. He said that he needed to work. I asked whether he had thought about what I had told him. Adrian calmly said that he had never considered it, and that he would never agree. My heart tightened, but I still refused to give up. I asked whether he disliked men, or whether he simply disliked me. Adrian looked directly at me. He said that he did not like me. I left the bar completely humiliated. That night I drank far too much. Outside the bar, several men surrounded me. I was too drunk to defend myself properly. One of them reached toward me. Before he could do anything, someone suddenly pulled him away. It was Adrian. He told them to leave. A fight broke out. Adrian pushed me into a nearby car and locked the door before fighting them himself. When everything finally ended, he was injured. I was still drunk, but I noticed the wounds on his hand. I took out a handkerchief and carefully wrapped it around him. Then I gently blew on the wound. I did not notice the complicated expression in his eyes. Later, Adrian carried me home on his back. I quietly asked whether he really did not like me. He said that he did not. I asked why he had saved me. He said that anyone would have done the same thing. Later, I learned that because of that fight, Adrian lost his job. Not long afterward, I saw him again at the hospital. The grandmother of Adrian needed surgery. Adrian was desperately trying to borrow money from relatives. No one wanted to help. One man insulted him and threw a few bills onto the floor. Adrian said nothing. He simply bent down and picked up the money. Seeing him like that broke my heart. So I made a decision that I would regret for many years. I walked toward him and offered to pay for the surgery of his grandmother. Then I told him to stay with me in return. Adrian froze. At the time, I thought I was helping him. Years later, I finally understood the expression on his face. It was not happiness. It was humiliation. The surgery was successful. Afterward, Adrian returned to university. He no longer avoided me. He saved a seat for me in the library. He ate meals with me. He allowed me to stay close to him. So I told myself that we were dating. But Adrian remained distant. If I did not speak first, he could spend the entire day without saying anything to me. I knew that he did not love me. Still, I tried harder. I bought him expensive gifts. I took him to expensive restaurants. I believed that if I treated him well enough, he would eventually fall in love with me. But forced affection is never sweet. I was so focused on giving him what I thought was good that I never stopped to ask what he actually wanted. Then rumors about Adrian began spreading through the university. Someone claimed that he was being financially supported by a rich man. Thousands of students mocked him online. His roommates insulted him. Eventually, Adrian moved out of the dormitory. He never told me what was happening. When I discovered the rumors, I felt guilty and terrified. I searched for him everywhere. Finally, on a rainy night, I found the apartment where he had moved. When he opened the door, his expression was colder than I had ever seen. I told him that I was sorry. Then I said that we should break up. At exactly the same moment, Adrian also said that we should break up. My heart felt as if it had fallen into freezing water. But before I could finish speaking, Adrian suddenly pulled me into his arms. He told me that he had only been joking. Then he told me to come inside because it was cold. That small amount of warmth was enough to make me stay. I promised him that I would stop using money to control his life. I removed the online posts attacking him. I stopped buying him expensive gifts. Instead, I helped repair his old apartment. Slowly, my belongings started appearing there. Game consoles, racing car models, snacks, and Lego sets filled the rooms. One night, I accidentally fell asleep there. When I woke up the next morning, I was lying in the arms of Adrian. After that, living together slowly became something neither of us questioned. On my birthday, I introduced Adrian to my friends as my boyfriend. He sat quietly beside me. Whenever someone offered me alcohol, Adrian took the glass and drank it instead. My friends started teasing us. Eventually, they wanted us to kiss. The face of Adrian became red. I slowly leaned closer. Our lips were almost touching when someone called my name. It was Ryan. Ryan and I had grown up together. He treated me like family. I almost ran over and hugged him out of habit. Then I remembered Adrian and stopped myself. I introduced Adrian as my boyfriend. Ryan greeted him politely. Later that evening, however, Ryan spoke with Adrian privately. He asked whether Adrian truly understood me. He asked whether Adrian knew what I liked and whether he could give me the life I wanted. Then Ryan told him about my old habits. I had once loved racing. I had once loved horseback riding. I had once loved dangerous sports. but I always became bored eventually. Ryan asked Adrian how long he thought my feelings for him would last. Adrian said nothing. What I did not know was that Adrian had actually prepared a birthday present for me. It was a watch. He had worked for a long time to afford it. Unfortunately, the restaurant gave me an expensive watch that looked almost identical. Adrian saw the luxurious gift. Then he looked at the watch he had bought. He quietly threw his gift away. When we left the restaurant, I asked whether he had prepared anything for me. Adrian lowered his eyes. He said that he had not. I could not hide my disappointment. Outside, heavy rain began to fall. Adrian took off his coat and placed it around my shoulders. I held his hand. I told him that if there was no present, then I wanted a birthday wish. I asked him for a kiss. His face immediately became red. He said nothing, so I leaned forward and kissed him. It was only a soft and brief kiss. When I pulled away, Adrian looked at me. Then he told me to be greedier. I did not understand what he meant. The next moment, he held the back of my head and kissed me again. This time, the kiss was deeper. Against my lips, he quietly told me to be a little greedier. Then he wished me a happy birthday. For a while, I believed everything was finally becoming better. Adrian became busier. He started trying to build his own company. The health of his grandmother also improved. I visited her often. She was kind and gentle. Being around her reminded me of the grandmother I had lost when I was young. But she did not know that Adrian and I were together. Then a girl named Chloe appeared. She had known Adrian since childhood. His grandmother adored her. One afternoon, when Chloe saw Adrian at the hospital, she immediately ran over and hugged him. Adrian tried to move away. Still, I felt uncomfortable. Later, I learned that their families had once talked about a childhood engagement. One day, the grandmother of Adrian asked him whether he had a girlfriend. Adrian looked at me. I became frightened that she would discover our relationship. So I turned my face away. After a long silence, Adrian said that he did not have a girlfriend. Those words stayed inside my mind. A few days later, Chloe got into my car. As soon as she sat down, her expression changed. She told me that she knew about my relationship with Adrian. She said that Adrian had never loved me. She said that I had used the illness of his grandmother to force him into staying with me. I could not deny it completely. Then Chloe told me that Adrian had been working desperately because he wanted to repay everything he owed me. According to her, he wanted to become free of me. She told me that if I had any shame, I should leave him. That night, I met Ryan at a bar. I asked whether he thought Adrian had ever loved me. Ryan asked whether Adrian had ever told me that he loved me. I said no. He asked whether Adrian had ever told his family or friends about our relationship. Again, I said no. Then he asked whether Adrian had ever planned a future with me. My answer was still no. Ryan did not need to say anything else. The answer seemed obvious. The next day, my father contacted me. He had been asking me to study abroad for a long time. This time, I agreed. While preparing to leave, I went to find Adrian. I found him inside a classroom with Chloe. Before I entered, I heard Adrian say that no one would like a man, and that it was disgusting. Then I heard Chloe laughing. I turned around and left. I did not ask for an explanation. During the next few days, Adrian was away on business. On the way to the airport, I saw a post from Chloe. She thanked Adrian for taking time out of his busy schedule to watch a movie with her. There was also a photograph of her holding his arm. I blocked her. Then I called Adrian. I told him that we should break up. He remained silent for a long time. Then he agreed. That was the end. After my plane landed overseas, I received a bank notification. Adrian had transferred back every cent I had once given him. I stared at the screen. It seemed that he really could not wait to be free of me. Years passed. The company of my father later fell into crisis. During that period, I finally experienced something that helped me understand what I had done to Adrian. An investor offered to save our company. I thought he wanted a legitimate business arrangement. Instead, he wanted me to spend one night with him. The way he looked at me made me feel sick. At that moment, I suddenly remembered myself at 19. I remembered standing in front of Adrian while his grandmother needed surgery. I had offered him money in exchange for staying beside me. For the first time, I truly understood how trapped and humiliated he must have felt. After that, I changed. My father became seriously ill. I took responsibility for the company. Ryan helped me survive the most difficult years. Our families eventually began treating us as though we were a couple. Neither of us corrected them because the misunderstanding was useful. But there was never romantic love between us. Ryan had someone else in his heart. And I never completely forgot Adrian. By the time I returned to China, the company of Adrian had become one of the strongest companies in the industry. And now, after all those years, he was standing in front of me again. His fingers were wrapped around my wrist. His eyes were red. He asked if I really did not need him anymore. I pulled my hand away. I reminded him that he had been the one who agreed to our breakup. Adrian said that he had not known I was leaving the country. If he had known that one separation would last for years, he would never have agreed. He said that he had always believed we still had time. He thought he had enough time to grow stronger. Enough time to become successful. Enough time to become someone who could stand beside me without feeling inferior. I told him that nobody was obligated to wait forever. Adrian looked at me and asked me to come back to him. Before I could respond, Ryan arrived. He separated us and put me into the car. Then we drove away. At the next traffic light, Ryan noticed that I was reading news about Adrian on my phone. He asked whether I regretted leaving him. I said no. He asked whether I wanted Adrian back. Again, I said no. But even I knew my answer was not completely convincing. To avoid Adrian, I asked Ryan to handle our business project. Adrian waited for me for several days. When I still did not appear, he came to my office himself. He tried to discuss the project. I told him to speak with Ryan. Adrian stopped me. His voice was low. He asked me not to treat him like a stranger. I tried to leave. He blocked my path. Then Adrian finally said the words I had desperately wanted to hear when we were young. He told me that he loved me. I froze. Years ago, I would have given almost anything to hear those words. Now they only made my heart ache. I reminded him that I had forced him into our relationship. I said that he must have hated me. Adrian denied it. I reminded him that he had once said he would never like me. His expression became painful. He told me that it was not because he had not liked me. It was because he had never dared to like me. I had always possessed the freedom to leave. He had not. I had money, family, friends, and choices. He had almost nothing. He had worked harder than he ever thought possible because he wanted to become someone worthy of standing beside me. But by the time he finally believed he was ready, I was already gone. His voice shook. He asked me for another chance. For a moment, my heart softened. But some things cannot return to the way they once were. I told him that it was too late. I said that I already had someone else. Then I told him to return to the woman everyone believed was his fiancée. Adrian eventually left. Soon afterward, Ryan told me that Chloe was not actually the fiancée of Adrian. She had paid people to spread rumors online about their relationship. Ryan did not understand why Adrian had allowed her to remain at his company. But by then, I no longer cared about the answer. Because Chloe had never been the real reason I left. There was something else Adrian did not know. Before I went abroad, his grandmother had discovered our relationship. One afternoon, she looked at me with tears in her eyes. She asked me to leave Adrian. She said that Adrian had already suffered because of her for half of his life. She did not want him to spend the rest of his life being judged by society. Then she held my hand and begged me. I could not refuse her. That was the moment I understood that our relationship had truly ended. I had been young enough to believe that love could defeat everything. Life eventually taught me otherwise. After our reunion, the business project continued. Adrian and I barely interacted outside work. Then came the official press conference for the project. Everything was normal until a reporter suddenly asked about our university relationship. Another reporter accused me of using money to force Adrian into dating me. More questions followed. People talked about financial support, bullying, and our private lives. The room quickly became chaotic. Before I could respond, Adrian stepped in front of me. He openly admitted that we had once been together. Then he said there had been no financial arrangement and no bullying. He said that we had loved each other as equals. He said that had been true in the past, and that he hoped it would also be true in the future. The room exploded into noise. Reporters rushed toward us. Adrian grabbed my hand and tried to lead me away. Someone pushed me. I fell to the floor. Then I heard a strange sound above us. A chandelier was falling. I had no time to move, but the pain never came. Adrian threw himself over me. The chandelier struck his head. Blood spread across the floor. Adrian remained unconscious for 2 days. When he finally opened his eyes, the first thing he did was search for my hand. He asked whether I was still there. I held his fingers. I told him that I was there. Only then did he relax. Later, Chloe was taken away by the police. While Adrian recovered, I finally asked him about the words I had heard years ago. I asked why he had said that liking men was disgusting. Adrian looked completely confused. He could not even remember saying it. After thinking for a long time, he finally remembered what had happened. Chloe had asked him to help rehearse a scene for a university drama club. The sentence I had heard was part of the script. Adrian had actually thought the line sounded strange and had refused to continue rehearsing. But I had already walked away before hearing the rest. The photograph of Chloe going to the movies with him had also been used to create a false impression. Adrian had continued helping Chloe partly because her parents had once taken care of him and his grandmother. Later, Chloe claimed that she had information about me. She somehow obtained photographs of me. Then she made Adrian believe that I was still communicating with her. He believed her because he desperately wanted any information about me. For years, both of us had lived inside misunderstandings created by fear, pride, and silence. After leaving the hospital, Adrian insisted on recovering at my home. I agreed because he had been injured while protecting me. At first, he behaved very well. He even walked around pretending that one of his legs was still injured. On the 3rd day, I caught him walking normally. Before I could throw him out, he discovered a small box among my belongings. He picked it up. I immediately took it from his hand. But it was already too late. Adrian recognized the box. His eyes became red. Then he started crying. Inside the box was the birthday present he had thrown away years ago. After my birthday party, a restaurant employee had found it in the trash. Because my initials were engraved on the back of the watch, the staff believed that I had accidentally lost it. That was how the gift returned to me. That was also how I discovered that Adrian had prepared something for my birthday after all. He had simply believed that his gift was not good enough for me. Back then, he had worked day and night to afford that watch. But compared with the world I had been born into, all his effort had barely allowed him to reach my starting point. Adrian walked toward me. He told me that back then he had been unable to give me anything. But now things were different. Now he could buy me the racing models I liked. He could buy the games I wanted. He could give me a comfortable life. He finally believed that he had become capable of standing beside me. Then he told me that he had missed me every day. He asked me to come back to him. My heart hurt. But one final obstacle remained in my mind. I reminded him that his grandmother had never wanted us to be together. Adrian suddenly became silent. After a long time, he told me that his grandmother had died. I froze. He said that after I left, she did not wait for him. Then he looked at me and said that I had not waited for him either. His voice broke. He told me that he had no family left. He had been alone for a very long time. I slowly walked toward him. Adrian immediately wrapped his arms around me. He buried his face against my neck. His tears soaked my shirt. He said that if his grandmother could see him now, she probably would not be happy to see him suffering like this. Then he finally told me the truth he had hidden for years. I had always possessed too many things: money, family, friends, freedom, and a future. Adrian had always been terrified that he was only another temporary obsession in my life. He had been afraid that one day I would become bored and abandon him. So he desperately tried to make himself important enough that I could never leave. But he had been too slow. Years ago, beneath the rain on my birthday, Adrian had told me to be greedier. At the time, I had never understood what he meant. Now I finally did. He held me tightly and told me to be greedy one more time. He told me not to want only one kiss. He wanted me to want his entire life. Then he asked me to come back to him. For a long moment I said nothing. Finally, I lowered my hands. I quietly told him that I would. Sometimes love does not end because two people stop loving each other. Sometimes love fails because two people are too young, too afraid, and too proud to say what they truly feel. Adrian and I wasted years misunderstanding each other. But this time, neither of us planned to walk away. This time, I decided to be greedy enough to want the rest of his life.